I'm breaking news. I in can say a Akufo Addo ase. Oko joy news I want in Saka into the script and also. As a former GIHOC managing director Kofi Jumah arrested by national security operatives. Nature say he didn't come out and say Akufo Addo na ase se only Akufo Addo a omampanyi Akufo Addo a na aban eba na we last year ya. Na ase ene Kofi Jumah. Na Kofi Jumah then koto adwuma bia no ye managing director I friend GIHOC. Na GIHOC on abra NDC 4-year transition na evidence a roll out when she say wabo a year GIHOC which is causing financial loss to the state no wabo Ghana kabibre intino e say o amount for say yenchene ene day na me aya dom national security for action. Yes, national security for Kofi Jumah Akufo Addo ase no se Akufo Addo be kwa ko beli now so onko beli na eno de hwe no se obekwa ko beli no because Akufo Addo na ase no ya che no ase script for ache no me de fly na Jenko T Johnson and said in 1-on-1 interview I want to join news for you. God bless you.
Is capable of being manipulated by politicians and so on and so on. Then she's confirming that there is a need for reset in the judiciary. So it should assist us to reset the judiciary. By doing what? When you say she should assist you, how can she assist you? By complying with the law and then the processes that are there, cooperating with the committee as much as possible to state her case with the committee instead of press conferences. And let's see how that process leads us. Is she right when he says this was plotted even before you won power? Who plotted it? He says stated political agenda. So few of you conspired to do this. Is it possible for a political agenda to be executed by the judiciary, which she superintended over? If that is it, nothing has changed. But I'm asking you, what have we changed in the judiciary which he was heading? We haven't changed anything. All the judges are the same judges that existed when she was heading. And she was proclaiming that the law is the law, the processes are there, the 7-0, 9-0, unanimous 7, unanimous. They were the same thing. So the only difference is that she is now at the receiving end of the work of the same unanimous 7. So what has changed? If you listen, and if if now she's realizing that injustice can be delivered by the judiciary she was heading, then he should help us. He should agree with us that there is a need to reset the judiciary so that in future we rid it of all political manipulations. I know you are a student of history also, and today she cited history. Mm-hmm. She says that the venue for the hearing, mm-hmm. which is the Edu Lodge, has historical links to the murder of the judges. Mm-hmm. And that place was deliberately chosen. Of course, it is there was a request from the committee, and the state said, use that venue. She says that was deliberately chosen to, one, intimidate her, and also because of the historical significance of the place and the link to the judges, profoundly leave a message and a scar, psychological one, to get her to buckle under the weight and the pressure of what is happening. Is she claiming that she was tortured in that lodge or something? She says she has somebody she was related to who was. She stayed in the person's house. She saw it at first hand, and that was the place that... What were the what were the castles meant for? They were meant for, slave trade, where people were tortured in the dungeons and so on. After independence, we had to use the Christianborg Castle until recently. So that argument is neither here nor there. The structure itself can torture you. I don't think she's making a strong point, in my view. She says she's just playing to the gallery. You think she is? Yes.
just trying to court public sympathy, which she doesn't deserve.
Why?
That's my opinion. It doesn't deserve, because this is a structure you yourself have used in the past. You were shouting in your courtroom that the law is the law. So have we changed the laws? We haven't. Have we changed any of the judges she was operating with? We haven't. Have we passed any legislation that has changed the procedures and processes in the judiciary she was heading? We haven't changed anything. So if that judiciary had been delivering or administering justice to ordinary citizens, why on earth should he be thinking that she's a special human being who should be treated differently?
She says today that she's been threatened. She's received threats. People have threatened to harm her. She's not been given copies of the petition. Obviously, the psychological impact on this, there's even pressure on her to either resign or retire. You have no sympathy at all.
As a citizen, if you receive threats, what do? You report to the police. She should go and report to the police. Or you think that when she was a judge, you could just walk into the court and say that I have received threats, so the court should do something. You report to the police, give your evidence to the police. The police will do the investigation, and if it is worth prosecuting, they bring the matter to court. So she's the #1 judge in the country, and she doesn't want to apply the law. Instead of reporting to the police, she's shouting at press conferences, making claims. If somebody calls her and threatens her, how are we supposed to know that her claim that she has been threatened is true or not true? Who is going to pick her phone to check whether they were indeed threats or no threats? So if she believes in what he's claiming, the best place to go is to report to the police, tender the evidence, let them do the investigation, and if somebody ought to be arrested and prosecuted, let them do that. But this thing of shouting at press conferences and so on, I don't think that is. She's not showing us the way, and she's a lawyer. She's supposed to show us the Pawani tappers, the way to handle such threats.
That is Johnson Sildin Kitia. I'm going to take, he says he's a pine wine tapper. And when I return, I ask him where has he actually done it? Maybe in the Bono region. But stay with me, because when I return, we'll return to partisan politics. He has something to say about the MPP's internal reorganization and the way they've decided to do things. Why is he talking about the MPP? Is he concerned and worried that the MPP has gotten it right with this reversal of the way they've done their election, starting from the top and descending to the bottom? And then also, the NDC have a big decision themselves to make. John Mahama, for the very first time since 2000, for a long time. I mean, she's been on the ballot either as a running mate, the president himself. For the very first time in at least 5 elections, if I'm not mistaken, they must now put a new face on the ballot. That, for every party, is a tough one that they need to navigate. And I was making the point about your party will be at the crossroads very, very soon. For the very first time in a long, long time, I think since after the 2008 elections, John Mahama has either been there or thereabout, and for the first time, he's not going to be there. How are you preparing for life beyond John Mahama?
Oh, we have robust structures that will help us choose the next flag bearer.
Robust structures? Which structures? Is it the grassroots all the way to the...
Yes, the grassroots all the way to the presidential primaries and we'll get the next flag bearer.
Every party in our Fourth Republican history that does this transition always expects friction. Some friction before that change happens. I remember very well as a young political reporter when John Mills of blessed memory, there was a lot of tension at the time. You found a way through. People were opposed, the camps, etc., etc. Has the party learned the lessons of that, and how will that influence how you do things differently now?
Oh, we've been learning lessons and improving our processes since the formation of the party. So I have no doubt in my mind at all about the fact that we will pull through the next primaries peacefully.
How do you plan to do this? Is it the same way you've always done it, starting with the, for you in your case, you do the ward, I believe?
We do the branches. That is polling station elections to select 9-member executive body for each branch. And the branch is coterminous with a polling area. So that is what MPP called polling station executives. We call them branches. So I think MPP has a 5-member branch also. I don't know, but we have a 9-member branch. So after putting in place all those branches, then we proceed to do constituency elections. And the delegates are the branches who go to constituency to vote. Then we put in place constituency executives. Then we move to regional elections and then to National Congress. So after National Congress, new leadership emerge, and then the new leadership now put in processes to elect a flag bearer.
So there was a poll by Global Info Analytics in April, trying to already give a sense of who may emerge in this transition that you're going to get into. And it says that it says 25% in terms of when they actually the most likely, Jane, 2, 20% Haruna Idrisu, 3, 12% Akufo Addo, and then 4, 10% Asedu Nketia. I wonder if you saw this with Global Info Analytics.
I saw it, but I don't think the basis is right, because you must know who wants to contest first before you go to test how they will perform. I'm not sure they spoke to anybody. They are just testing their grounds without talking to anybody. That's number one. Number two, something that is 3 years, 4 years ahead. I mean, you cannot be predicting what will happen in 4 years and so on. So it's a good exercise, but I don't think it is very, very useful in predicting who emerges as our flag bearer in 2027.
You say they must know who wants to contest first. That's a Asedu Nketia want to contest?
We are not there yet. We are not there yet because we have responsibilities to undertake. And I've always been cautioning that there are certain things you don't do at certain times. For instance, we are trying to put ourselves together as a government to run the country and to discharge our obligations and deliver on our promises and so on. So immediately after you win elections, if you begin talking about who will be or how you are going to win the next elections, it could mean an insult to the population, because they will take you to mean that, after all, you are not interested in delivering on your promises at all, and that your objective is to win elections and govern. So, having won election, you have achieved your objective. So you are now thinking about achieving the next objective. So it is offensive to the population. And I said the same thing when, after 2020, I think immediately after 2020, Baumia's posters popped up. They started talking about breaking the 8, even when they have not even formed the government. So it created the impression that, what do these people take Ghanaians for? Is it the case that their objective is just to win elections? So they have won one and they must be preparing to win the next one. So what happens to their promises of delivering better life for the citizens and so on? So you need to concentrate on how to deliver on your promises after putting in place your government first. So if you proceed along those lines and you are achieving, results, then I mean, 1 year, 2 years to the election and so on, you begin thinking about how you are going to win the next elections. It's quite reasonable, but I think it is offensive to begin talking about how you are going to win the next election, who is going to lead you into the next election. That's why I've been cautioning. That said, you have another problem of cohesion in the government. If you begin dividing yourselves into campaign groups, how are you going to stick together to govern the country? The names that are being mentioned, somebody is a chief of staff, somebody is a minister operating under a chief of staff, somebody is a vice president, somebody is national chairman, somebody is this. If you present them as competitors, how do you run the cabinet? And anything any of them does could easily be construed to mean campaigning for himself or herself. So if a minister who is operating under a chief of staff, you go and pitch the minister against the chief of staff. If the chief of staff gives instructions and the minister claims that the chief of staff is tormenting him, that's why he's saying, do this, do that, do that, do that, it can create problems. Or if the minister is undertaking a policy and the chief of staff construed it to mean that if he takes that, he implements that policy, it's going to work against my ambition and so on. There are a whole lot of challenges that could emerge if you prematurely just go out there shouting, I'm going to be this, I'm going to be that, I'm going to be this. That's why I think that it is early days yet. 6 months into the life of a new government, we should not be talking about who replaces President Mahama in 4 years' time.
And I note your overriding point is we are not there yet.
We are not.
Too early.
Yeah.
But I also note that you did not rule it out completely.
No. No serious politician rules out any position. It's known by, because it is ambition that drives politics. And if you rush to rule things out, you get to a point where you'll be at a corner where you regret having ruled out certain positions. If I want to demonstrate with my own life, to begin with, I never dreamt of going to Parliament.
Never?
Never.
What did you want to do instead?
No, I was a trained business guy, and I started marketing manager, bank manager, and all that, and stockbroker, and so on. So the thought of going to Parliament never crossed my mind at all until pressure began mounting from my own people that you have to do this, you have to represent our community to do this. Then you say, okay, let me do it for 1 year or 1 term and then go and do something else. Then you do it, and everybody says you have done it so well that without you, we can't get a good replacement, so continue. That's why some of us found ourselves here as a national chairman of the party. I never planned to go to parliament at all. I chose a different career path. But circumstances drew me to become a member of parliament. And even as a member of parliament, I never thought of becoming a general secretary. So as a member of parliament, if I had done a press conference to say that, no, I would never be a general secretary in my life, it could have been a hindrance at the point where there was pressure for me to be general secretary. And even as general secretary, it was not in my plan to become national chairman. But circumstances again pushed me to become national chairman. So you don't rule out any other position. Today, if you ask me whether I want to be the General Secretary of United Nations, I would say, well, why not? It's a possibility. So that is why I don't think it is prudent for politicians to be ruling out positions.
I mean, talking about that, you mentioned Parliament. It just reminded me that we still have a Blake Manov that is outstanding.
Yeah.
That must be something that must be on your top list of concerns. That 6 months on election after the election, we still don't have an elected member of Parliament. Well, what are you doing about it as a chairman?
We are having a wrong election management body in place. And so that is a subject of reset in future.
Resetting the EC?
Sure.
What does that mean?
It means that bringing it back into an institution that is fit for purpose. The way it is existing now, it's not fit for purpose. Because you cannot have, with all the laws that we have, you cannot still be having an election that will go into a stalemate. There is no anticipation of any stalemate in elections in any of our laws, unless people don't want to do their work well. And so it's a clear case of, negligence or inability to perform its functions. So it's a good reason why the Electoral Commission needs to be reset. And that is not the only issue. Remember, 4 years ago, there was the issue of SAL. A whole constituency went unrepresented for 4 years. And then, so when this commission, as presently constituted, took over the reins of the Electoral Commission, they have never done an election that is satisfactory. These 2 major elections, the first one constituency went unrepresented for 4 years. And then their second election is this one. And then with the by-elections, Ayawaso West, Wogon, everything has been removed. So there is overwhelming evidence that this commission is not fit for purpose. And if any serious country will want to maintain this type of electoral commission, then I don't know what the country is about.
So there will be a change at the EC leadership?
There has to be a change.
Jumah must go?
Yes, I think the 3 top leadership must all go.
So that will be the chairperson herself and her 2
deputies. Yeah.
Jumah, then Boxman Asari, and I believe you've been working, he's not always in the news.
Tete.
Tete.
They must all go. They have mismanaged the commission so badly.
Their positions, though, are positions protected under the Constitution. They're guaranteed tenure.
But the Constitution has giving us the path to remove them. And that is what is happening to the Supreme Court. You may be guaranteed, but there is no position under our Constitution. There is no appointee or state functionary who cannot be removed under this Constitution. There's a procedure of removing the president. There's a procedure of removing Speaker of Parliament. That's why there's a procedure for removing Chief Justice. Everybody has, a way of holding them accountable, because if you make an appointee or a state functionary who is not accountable to anybody, there's no way to hold them to check, then you breed a monster. And so when you look through the Constitution, everybody in the Constitution can be changed. So I'll have issue if they are changed through the wrong means. But if they are changed through the constitutionally stipulated means, democracy is working.
Somebody needs to bring a petition. Will the NDC sponsor one?
I'm expecting you to sponsor one, because many of the shortcomings, you've been talking about them here.
I don't have any grievance with them. So I have no reason to.
Anybody, any of the 32 million Ghanaians can bring a petition.
I mean, and very quickly on the subject, I mean, they superintended over a historic win for you. The same commission of Jumah, Tete, and Bosman Asare. Your victory, never in the history of Ghana have we seen before. This is the same EC that you say should go. That's superintendent over that. Isn't that saying something about their quality and independence?
We put in more effort than necessary. If we had a fairer commission, half of the effort we put in would have delivered the results. But we saw the biased Electoral Commission as one of the difficulties we must plan to overcome. So we had to, as I declared before the election, that we are going into the election like somebody who has to dine with a devil. If you have to dine with the devil, you must have a long spoon. So that was what we did. So it does not speak to their competence or lack of it. In fact, even after results had been declared, they allowed some kangaroo procedure to reverse results that have been declared in about 5 or 6 constituencies, which is not allowed under any law. You understand? So that speaks a lot to their incompetence and their vulnerability to political manipulations and all that. So we have to do something about it.
Your friends in the MPP have adopted a very interesting approach to their succession plan.
Yes.
They are now going to turn the cap over and climb down from the top of the tree. They're going to elect in their presidential as the candidate on 31st of July before they do the rest of the elections from the ground up. I've heard you say that you sort of analyzed it. I didn't hear you say categorically it's bad or wrong. You sort of analyzed the strengths and weaknesses.
Yes.
Having looked back now, had a few days to look at it now, how is that? Because again, you have a stake there, because whatever happens to MPP may also be necessarily, be something that you watch. But opponents do that all the time. Watching them do what you're doing, are you worried that this is a part that have got it right and they're going to pose a threat, or you're relaxed that they have it wrong?
You see, you are expecting me to compare what I have seen to what I have not seen yet. Okay. One is a proposal yet to be implemented. All we know is moving from the base to the top. And they now think that we must move from the top to the base. They are yet to put it into practice. So you can only do an analysis, the pros and cons. And but the real judgment will come after they've done the implementation. I have been on record to have repeated this old saying that doing the same thing the same way and expecting different results amounts to insanity. But I also am aware that thinking outside the box does not always deliver better results than what you have. Because if something is not broken, you don't fix it. If you want to blame your defeat on the way or the timing of the election of your flag bearer or the sequence of elections within the party, you must have evidence, solid evidence that that is the cause of the problem you are trying to solve. If you don't have that solid evidence and it is somebody's hunch that perhaps it is because of this that we lost, so let's go and deal with it, you may land in a bigger trouble. So, and we've seen the MPP has begun from the base to the top on several occasions. Some have led them into victory, and in other cases have led them into defeat. How to determine whether it is just that process that is responsible for defeat or failure is a major thing they must consider very well to be able to fix the problem. That this is the problem, so I'm going to solve it. Okay? If you have, toothache and you go and take the medication for diarrhea or something, you are not likely to solve the problem. So I don't think that, I can't say it will help them or it will not help them. But we live to see what the outcomes will be.
Those vying to lead the party, they play their hands already. We've seen them declaring their intention to run. As we speak tonight, there are at least 4 of them who have already said they're going to run. Baumia, Educhum, Brian, Kennedy Japan. I don't know many of them are your friends. Does any one of them instill fear in you? Because you are yet to sort of even indicate who is even interested. But at least you have a fair idea who they are. Does any of them worry you as a threat?
Not at all.
Not at all? Not even Baumia?
No.
Not Brian with all the resources he has? No. Kennedy Japan looks very like you in terms of character and posture.
Each of them have their challenges. So let's wait and let them make their choice first. Before we come in.
You've already analyzed and you are comfortable.
Yes.
You're comfortable.
You take Brian. You know the challenges about Brian. You take Kennedy. You equally know about Kennedy very well. You take Baumia. We know about Baumia very well. And we know about Educhum very well. I'm not sure that is the exhaustive list. I'm yet to hear about Adenimo and then the former General Secretary as well, Kwabena Japan. They are likely to join.
Okay. So there you go. That is Johnson Aseodun Ketia. He says he's a palm wine tapper that he is. You say that as a joke, or you actually was a palm wine?
I actually was a palm wine tapper at a certain stage of my life.
Okay. You brewed good palm wine?
Yes.
Okay.
Actually, palm wine is tapped, not brewed.
Oh, sorry. To tap, exactly. Yeah, you're right. You tapped it. Good one.
Good one, and carry it to a spot by the roadside, selling. The place was labeled as Yepim Soba.
Yepim Soba.
Yes.
Which part of the country is this?
Oh, in Thai, near.
Oh yes, that's in Bono.
I was hunting rodents who